whereas wherever data, it means that there is statistics. You know, wherever you have, if you have a data and there is some statistics are there always. What is statistics basically? So statistics is a science and art of collecting, classifying, computing, analyzing, interpreting, and presentation of data and its insights. It is a general definition of statistics. It is a science of collecting the data. First, we collect the data. We have the various sources of collected data, like from internet we could collect the data. We collect the data directly through some forms and this all. And we have so many sources for collecting the data. And then we classify the data through the okay. If someone has some problem on the camera, so please turn off your camera. No problem. Okay. You all have the permission. Abel, you could turn off the camera. Okay. So we collect the data, then we classify the data. So here we also study about the various classifications of the data according to nature, according to function, according to work, according to source. So we see the various classifications of the data. We classify the data, then we compute the statistics whatever we require. Okay. So which statistics is to be taken out from the data? It's a major question sometimes. So when you understand these all statistics and this everything, then after watching data, you could find that the data itself says what is to be done with it. Sorry. So after watching the data, you could judge what is to be done with this data. Okay. There is no any issue if you understand the statistics and the everything in a proper way, then you could guess what is to be done according to our objective, what you could do with the data. Whatever the computation do with within this statistics is called the statistics basically. Mean is a statistics, SD is a statistics, standard deviation is a statistics, variance is a statistics. So all these whatever we compute is called the statistics in universality. And after getting the result, whenever we get the result in the statistic in the numerical form, it is some in the numerical way, and we analyze it after getting the results. We could not give the number to the person. This is the number of this is the result you take and go. We have to analyze it. Just like if you go for test about taste of sugar of your diabetes, and doctor or the pathologist will not give the number only, it also interpret it in words, whether you are diabetic or not. It will give the result, the test report would be in the number form. But the doctor who will prescribe you the medicine will write, will say this thing, interpret this thing in some word. Okay, he will use some word, okay, whether you are diabetic or not, or the hyperdiabetic or whatever. Okay, so the same thing is the interpretation. After analyzing the figure, whatever you got through the computation, you analyze it and then you interpret in word. And finally, you present it in any form, in the tabular form or in the text form or in the figure, graphs, and also its insights, whatever you have along with that results. So these all things is called the statistics. Wherever the thing which is more than one is statistics, one is not statistics. Okay, so it is an art and science both. So why it is a science? First we see. Let us see one example. If you have to find out the mean of this, okay, so can you calculate the mean for me? And you write on the chat box, what is the mean of this? I think the most of you already know how to calculate the mean. I think all of you know how to calculate the mean. What is the formula of mean? How we get the average? So please you calculate and write it for me on the chatbot. Yeah, someone. 6.4 Khosbu, correct. Subham, 6.4 correct. Someone else? Okay, nice. Everybody is getting, if you see the chatbot, then you will see everybody is getting the same mean. Everybody is getting the same mean. It means we have a fixed formula for finding out the mean, or it is a science. Science always gives us the same result if you do with the same process. Like if you mix the acid and base, and you always get the salt and water. You may not get alcohol when you mix the acid and base. You get only salt and water. So it is a science. So therefore it is a science. We use the mathematical formula there, or according to that formula, we always get the same value. The universally we got the same value for the same data, for the same statistics. And the one more thing I would like to say that okay, let's we talk about then it doesn't mean that I am more experienced than you in the field of statistics. My mean would be better than your mean. It could not happen. The mean of the fresher one would be the same if he is also using the same formula and not doing any calculation mistake. So experience doesn't give value here in the field of science. Okay. But experience is required in the field of art. So it is an art also. So we see why it is an art. You see, how do you interpret this glass of water? How do you interpret it? Can someone write in the chat box? How do you interpret it? The glass of water. Not by, no, half full, half filled, half empty, half full. Okay, correct. Some are telling that it is half full, some are telling that it is half empty. Okay. In statistics, if you see, statistics, when we get the results, it shows us so many things. Results shows us so many things. If we get the result of some hypothesis test and everything, t-test, whatever, it will give us so many things. It will give us the t-value. Suppose we are conducting the t-test. It will give us t-value, degree of freedom, p-value, and it will give us confidence intervals, and it will give us the mean also. So it will give us so many things, but hide the main thing, something which is most of the time hidden behind the results. Okay, so here in this case, if we see, just a moment, give me a minute of time. So some says that it is half fill, and some says it is half empty. Okay, or I know that some of you also told this also. In my opinion, it is, this glass is full, half with water and half with air. So this is the correct interpretation of this. This glass is full, half with water and half with year. This is the correct interpretation. So this thing comes with experience. Some of you also told this thing. Some of you also mentioned this thing. So they have the experience regarding this. So they are making the good interpretation. So interpretation always requires some experience. So it is an art. Statistics is also an art. So I think now it has been clear about the definition of the statistics, all of you. Uncertainty is what? Aishwarya is writing uncertainty. In statistics, everything is predictable. Everything is predictable except truth. Except truth. Everything is predictable. We could analyze anything in statistics except truth. Okay. So thanks, Jubenjit. And this is the basic we should understand about the statistics. This definition is my own definition, which I have given to you. And that is the very simplest definition in which I have covered the statistics. It is the science and art of collecting, classifying, computing, analyzing, interpreting a presentation of data and its insights. Okay. Second thing, you know that there is a data analysis. Before that, I would like to ask one question I have written in the end of this slide. You see that what is first statistics? Statistics is what? Mean, mode, median, standard deviation, whatever we calculate is called the statistics. What is the first statistics? Whenever you get the data, what do with what you compute the first statistics with data? Yeah, someone tell me what is first statistics is. Somebody is writing type of data. No, type of data is okay. Counting is near about. Okay. Counting is Vaishali, you are very near it. Average, it's okay. Average not the first statistics, but it is a statistics. The group and classification is a process. Numbers is near about the frequency. Yeah, Sachin, you are writing right. That is the probability. Okay. How I say that? Basically, suppose you have a categorical data. Categorical data of a, I'm taking very small example of gender. You have a gender column. There are 3 categories. One is male, female, and transgender. Okay. And you have a data of 84 persons. How many? 84. And if you write in this way, male out of 84, 36 is male, female is, we have 42. So it is 78, and transgender is 6. So total, if you see, it is 84. If you give this table somewhere, or if we talk about to you verbally, how many males are there? So you will say 36. But some other person don't know how many total were there. So can he could take some analyze it? The one man who don't know the total number of the persons were involved in the conference, whatever. if you are telling the male is 36, he could analyze something through this figure 36. Yeah, we could not analyze it through the figure of 36. Okay, so if you ask about the what percentage are male there, okay, so if we calculate the percentage of this, if I say that the percentage of 36, what it would be, if I use the calculator for this, divided by 84. So it is near about 42%, 42.85%. Okay, we could say that the 49%. Okay, we could say that the 49%. I take this small, so it will the 49%. It is the 49 out of 84, 36, 14, 43, sorry, 43%, 43%. And the 42 would be, I think that it would, just a moment, 42 divided by 84. Oh, it is the 50%, basically. 42 is the 50% of 84. And this is the 7%. So if you talk about, if someone asks how many percentage of male were there in the conference, if you say the 43%, so it is better. You could analyze something if you don't know the total numbers. It is giving us some information or not. 43% rather than 36 number, 43% is giving us few information. Some relative information it is providing us. Okay. Yes. So that is the thing. Main thing is the relativity. Okay. Some relative information you should get. So won't mention the frequency table ever in your research paper or your research work or thesis, whatever. Present it with some percentage, convert them in percentage and then present it. Also in the bar plot, somebody write on the bar plot the number of that, a number of respondents, and that way the percentage, there should be percentage, not the numbers. So percentage is the, here you see from where we are starting the statistics. You don't have any other thing in the categorical data. What you could do, you could most you could find out the mode, find out the mode. Pie chart we could also use. That is the presentation through the bar graph or the pie chart. We could present your data or by the table. So for that, what you require? So there is a percentage is very important thing. So the percentage is what? Percentage is nothing. It is basically the proportion. If you multiply the proportion with 100, then it is a 100% with, it is a percentage. Because there is a rule in the mathematics. Suppose there is 36. There is 43. I say you 36 over 84. It is the proportion. You get the proportion. If you see that 12 3 or 12 7, 3 by 7. It is the proportion we have. Okay. This proportion, if we multiply by 100, so in the mathematics there is a rule. If you are multiplying something, you also have to divide it by that number. So what we do, 3 by 7 into 100 and percent. We could write in this 1 by 100. Okay, so percent. So this has a symbol like this, percent. 1 by 100 is called the percent. So you multiply this 300 by 7, you get 43. So it is called 43%. Okay. So whenever you multiply any proportion with 100%, so it convert in the percent. And what is proportion? Proportion is nothing. It is basically the probability. Probability is what? Favorable outcome over total outcome. That is a probability. So most of the people very much fear with the probability word. Oh, probability, yeah, it's very, very confusing, problematic. No, the status starts with it and also ends with probability. No, statistics starts with the probability and ends with the probability. How? How it ends with the probability? And in between there is many things, mean, mode, median, correlation, so many things. All the statistics is between probability and probability. Okay. So on the both corner in the statistics, we have the probability. How it involves in the end? So we discuss about it. When you do some sort of inferential analysis, some of you already in the field of academics, I think so, and not in the field of academics, so then you may be the students or the scholars who are doing some hypothesis testing and this all in the inferential analysis. So in the inferential analysis, we have to analyze our hypothesis. We have three different bases by which we analyze the hypothesis. First is the traditional method we use for analyze the accept or reject the hypothesis. Second, we use the confidence interval method. And third, we use the probability method. And the final method is the probability method. So whenever you see that the probability at the 95% confidence level, you are proving some hypothesis, you are testing some hypothesis. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, then you say your null hypothesis has been accepted. If the p-value is less than 0.05, you says our null hypothesis has been rejected. So on which basis, which statistics basis you are taking this decision? On the basis of probability? You are concluding your whole study. You have collected the data and everything you have done. Finally, what you are doing the inferential analysis? You are using the hypothesis testing. You are conducting some test. And when you are getting the result out of the test and you are comparing only with the probability, which is the less than or more than 5%. As per the probability, we decide whether it is accepted or rejected. It doesn't mean that you are accepting the you are accepting the null hypothesis. It doesn't mean that that null hypothesis, your statement was true. It doesn't mean that. It means we have good evidence to prove that our statement is true if your hypothesis has been accepted. Because whenever judge give his statement, he don't say that you are a murderer. You don't write this thing in sentence. If the Mr. X and X is a murderer, you write, we found you guilty or not guilty. You don't say that. So nobody could say that about the truth. What is truth? What is true and what is false? Nobody say about nothing. There is no formula. There is no any machine. There is no any technique by which you could find out the true and false. By which you could find out the truth. Okay, there is no that thing. So we could just accept or reject the hypothesis. So I said that I could analyze everything in the statistics except truth. So this is all about the statistics. Also in the predictive analysis, if you see in the machine learning and the artificial intelligence, there is also the end is the statistics. If I talk about the image classification model, you are all aware about the image classification model, where you saw the thing in the Google Lens, you saw a cup, it will show you the pictures of the cup, so many, everything. Or some app is also there, you show the object and it will write the name of the object. Okay, so it will classify the object. So that is that sort of problem is called the image classification model, or the machine learning model, or the artificial intelligence model. How does it work? Suppose I am going to give making a model with this sort of few objects, like one compass is there, one pencil is there, one pen is there, one notebook is there. This sort of objects I show to the machine when I am making a machine learning model of image classification. And I feed so many pictures of this sort of objects, and I give them class also. And just a moment, I can come to that. That is. And after preparing, training the model, I show that model randomly a picture of certain object with which I have not, the class is same, the compass which I have not seen him at the time of training, but compass I have shown him in the training, the different compass. But this compass is new for him. The color and the size may be the different little bit. So then how could this model judge? So it find out the probability through the pattern. We convert, basically we, whatever the image we feed, image converts in some arrays, you know, some number. And according to that pattern is recognized, you know, by which arrays pattern it is matching or not matching, you know, matrix and arrays. So it get the probability how much of which class it is matching, the pattern is matching. Some object it is the pattern is matching, the probability of it is 0.8, somewhere 0.64, somewhere 0.33. So the highest probability class it will select and it will show you. And this is compass. The probability of compass is 0.8%. And the probability of pencil is 0.3%. Probability of notebook is 0.25%. 0.25, sorry. So in this way, so it ends with the probability. It ends with the probability. So you have seen that the statistic starts with probability and ends with probability. Okay. So okay. Now let's see about the data analytics part. Data analysis. What is data analysis? Statistics we have understand everything, I think. You know? Now we see the data analysis. Data analysis is what? Data analysis is a process of inspecting, cleansing, transforming, and modeling data with the goal of discovering useful information and informing conclusions, supporting decision making. So it is a process. Statistics is a science and art, or data analysis is a process of conducting those all things. And when you get the data, you inspect the data. Why do we inspect the data? Because there may be some missing values, there may be some outlier, there may be some value, some things, some values which is not useful for us. The gangs and the residuals may be there, some noisy data may be there. So we inspect the data and clean the data. Okay. And then we transform the data as per our requirement in the rows and columns. Okay. And that is, this whole process is called the data preparation. Okay. For our data analyst and the data scientists spend their more than 60% time in the data preparation process. Model making is not a tough task. It's very easy to train the model. There is so many scripts are there in the internet. You could download and you could run your training data set in night and you could get the output. But before that, the main thing is the data preparation. And that is very, very important. If you have done some mistake or you have keep something not done properly during the data preparation, so it may affect the result of your model. Okay, your model will not give you the better performance. So data preparation is only the process which is spent most of the time. Okay, mostly whenever we take the project, mostly 60 to 80% time we spend in the data preparation, and the remaining 20% we train the model. Okay. Suraj is asking about elaborate the meaning of data preparation with any examples. Okay. We also conduct this thing later, but I explain you. Suppose there are some missing values in data. I'm giving you some little bit examples. Okay. So in some variables, you have the missing value. Or suppose you have the 200 observations. And in 200 observations, you have more than 40 you have 40 observations. We are somewhere in the missing values. In the some observation, there is in the fourth observation, and first column, and there is a 10th row where it is in the fifth column missing value. So if you try to remove these observations, so it will reduce your data size. Okay, that is not possible. Out of 200, you are removing 40 rows. So you have now only 160 data size. So it is too much. So decrease the data size, or then you analyze it, it will affect your results. As far as your sample size optimum, then you get the proper result. So what you will do? First option you had, you could remove the observations. Observation in which you have the missing values. Second, you could fill it with the central tendency value, like mean, mode, median of that column, and according to that you could fill it. Okay, but there is another thing. You could use your business logic also for filling that value. So that process is called the data preparation. You have some outliers. Suppose there is a movie like Kabir Singh. Okay, and in Kabir Singh movie, what should be the range of the age of the people who watch that movie, Kabir Singh? Can someone tell me the range of the age of the people? The audience, about 23, 18 to 30, okay, 15 to 30, okay, 60, okay. The most maximum side, if we see, there is a 60 years. Okay, somebody is telling 40, somebody is telling 35. We suppose that there is 55 years the maximum age, the person who will watch this sort of movie. Okay, is the movie for youngsters. And suppose you got the data of the audience and you are doing some analysis, we are conducting some analysis for this sort of data. And we see there is a person whose age is 80 years. Oh, it is not editing mistake. The person was actually there in the multiplex or the miniplex or the theater, whatever. So this 80-year person, if you include in the analysis, so it will affect your result or not. Your most of the values are under 55 and 18. There is only one value which is very far away from 55. If you include this, If you find out the mean, including this, so it will affect your result. So this sort of thing is called the outliers. It may be on the upper side, it may be on the lower side also. So in our research work papers, I have seen that most of the academicians don't bother about the outliers. They don't think about the outliers. That just they do the analysis. That is very important to see the outliers. So when you remove that 80 years person, suppose you don't want to remove that 80 years row observation. There are some other values also, some other columns is also in the observation. You don't want to remove the observations. What you can do? You could floor it. You could keep it. Sorry, you could keep it. Instead of 80, you could write there 55, which is our maximum limit. Okay. So this is called data preparation. Who asked me about it? Subham. Somebody asked me. Suraj. Okay, you got Suraj, your response? Okay. So whatever the doubt you could ask, no problem. Okay. If you ask, then I will give the reply. The session would be more interactive. So it is all about the data preparation I have asked you. Okay, Ajit Kumar ji, what do you want to ask? Okay, so this is all about the data analysis, and then we model it, and then we find out our useful information, and that conclusion we get through it. Third thing is the data science. Data science is an umbrella term which encompasses data analytics, data mining, machine learning, several other related disciplines in it. It's a big, in which everything comes. Okay. So the data scientist, data analyst, big data expert, machine learning expert, artificial intelligence expert, they are all data scientists. Okay, as you see the doctors, homeopathic doctor is there, Ayurvedic is there, pathologist is there, he is also doctor, physiotherapist is also doctor. There are various disciplines doctors are there. Similarly, everybody who is doing the analysis work may be the data scientist. But his expertise is in what? If you are conducting with the structured form data, unstructured and structured, two way of data we have. Structured data is what we get in the Excel sheet format. Okay, rows and columns. That is the structured data. The numbers and some categorical things are there. That is the structured data. Unstructured data is what? Images, text messages, voice. These are all unstructured data. So if you are working with the structured data, so it mostly says that he is a data analyst. If you are working with unstructured data, then it comes in the category of data scientist. There is very hairline difference, or there is so many contradictions also. Okay, so is it clear? Data science is a big umbrella term, okay, in which the data analysis, everything comes. Statistics is involved everywhere. It is not a part of data science, we could say. It applies in the data science, it is everywhere. Okay. Yeah, qualitative data is also a science. Yeah. I will tell you basically about how we decide the limit of outlier. There are a few formulae I will explain here. Okay. So this is all about the our. Now I will tell you about the types of analysis. Analysis is what? First, we understand this. Analysis refers to breaking a whole into a separate components for individual examination. Okay, that is analysis. Okay. Yes, Ram Prasad ji. Textual analysis is also a data science. Analysis, what are the differences between data analytics and data mining? Sir? Data mining, if we go in deep the data about, and this all process what we do here in the, we find out through the data. Data mining is a process we go in depth in the data. Okay, that is a different terms we use for this. Okay, I will tell you about the clear hairline about this. I will discuss you that, but not now. It will take a very long time. Yes, you have to learn AI and ML. Okay. Here we see what is analysis basically. Analysis refers to breaking a whole into a separate components for individual examinations. So we break it in different components. Different components means the descriptive analysis, inferential analysis, predictive analysis, perspective analysis. These are the components. And the definition I have given later, so I don't have to read that. What is descriptive analysis? So you see that there I have written what is. What is means whatever you have in the data is descriptive analysis. Suppose you have how many males are there, how many females are there, and how many transgenders are there, how many boys, how many girls, whatever we are taking. Different cricketers are there in the party, how many celebrities were there. So many things were there. We could take these, all things are called the descriptive. And we could also include the, suppose talking about the school. So the average marks of section A, average marks of section B in the mathematics, average marks of the students of section C in the mathematics. So this mean is also a descriptive analysis. A standard deviation for is also a descriptive analysis. Well, because whatever you have, you are describing it. Whatever you have, you are describing it. So it is the descriptive. Okay. And second, you say there is inferential analysis. Why it is? Suppose the students of section A has the mean marks of mathematics, and the section B students also have the mean marks of mathematics. Section A students have the higher marks than the section B students, the mean marks is higher than that. So if there is significant difference, then why it is? Why the students of section A are getting more marks than section B students? So it is a work of cause and effect. We could say we have to find the cause about it, why it is so. So that is the inferential analysis, why it is. If there is significant difference, we have to find out the reason. Okay. And recommend the solution. In inferential analysis, also we recommend the solution. If there is significant difference in A and B section students, then we recommend something, what they should do. If there is different teachers, so we could test the teacher, we could change the teacher, and we see the performance in both the section. First thing is that if the same teacher is there, it means there is something which is hidden. The students are doing well in other subjects except mathematics, but the same teachers are teaching in both the class. So the students are doing well in the other subjects. That means students are intellectual. So there is no significant difference in the students of section A and section B. There is no significant difference in the teacher because that same teacher is teaching in both the sections. Then, as I explained you, something hidden. So then you have to see the timetable. Suppose the math lecture is after lunch break. Then the students may get puzzled. tired. So they could not understand properly. The mathematics is a subject of understanding. It's not like a Hindi and the social science. You could listen only and you don't have to use your mind. So that is the thing we have to see. So that is the inferential analysis. Third one is the predictive analysis. Inferential analysis, Subham Kumar, inferential analysis includes also in predictive analysis. Without inferential, you could not do predictive analysis. Without descriptive, you could not do inferential analysis. Without inferential, you could not do predictive analysis. So this is a chain. Okay, I will explain you when we study about the machine learning. In the R advanced, it starts with the R advanced, the machine learning. There you will see we use this inferential analysis there also. For improving our model, the optimization of the model accuracy. We use this. Through this, we could judge the optimize the model performance. Okay. So it is now we talk about the predictive analysis. What will be? I have written here what will be. Kya hoga? What will be? Suppose we have a data of last 50 years of rain and crop production of certain geographic area. And we have the data of rain of this year. So we could easily predict if we have prepared a machine learning model from the past data, historic data. So we input the rain, how much millimeter rain occurred this year, and we could find out we could predict the crop production. Crop production will be X metric ton, Y metric ton, whatever. We could say that. So that is a predictive model. Okay. One thing more I would like to explain. There are two things. Basically, one is prediction. And second thing is forecasting. What is the difference between this? What is prediction and what is forecasting? Yeah. Can someone tell me the difference between prediction and forecasting? Somebody is telling that forecast time involved, short term and long term, predict on the basis of past trends, and somebody is telling I think the same. Okay. Some are saying that it is same. Some are saying that Ram Prasad is saying that the forecast time involved. There is involvement of time in the forecast. You are correct. In the forecasting, the time is the best variable. Nabasmita is telling forecasting is scientific, whereas prediction intuition based. I will tell you that Nabasmita, you have written it is in a reverse. It is just reverse of that. Prediction is scientific. Forecasting is intuition based. Okay. I explain you this thing. When we prepare the predictive model, we require some current input. Then we could find out the prediction. Prediction is also about the future, but it is the near future, not a very far. That is a prediction. For 1 year, for 6 months, for 2. You have a requirement of current input. Then you could find out the output. That is a prediction. Forecasting is what? Both model based on historic data. Trend with the historic data. The forecasting model will also trend with historical data. And prediction model is also trend with the historical data. You have the last few years data, whatever the data you have. According to that, we trend the model. But in forecasting model, mostly we have only one variable, like sales, like the crop production. So that is the past pattern of the crop production you are predicting without involving any other element. Even rain you are not taking into consideration. You are just watching that graph of crop production. According to trend of that crop production, you are predicting next forecasting future crop production without involving any other input. That is forecasting. Prediction require some inputs values. Like if you have to predict the crop production through the machine learning model, then you will use some input. You are using some input, rain. This much millimeter rain occurred this year. So you are predicting the crop production, this would be. But in forecasting, the time series model, you are not using current input. So this is the difference, major difference between prediction and forecasting. Before 5 to 7 years, 5 years, the weather department forecast the weather. Tomorrow will be heavy rain, or we see the next day it is sunny day. Mostly it falls, forecasting of the weather department. 99% forecasting get wrong before 5 years. Now they predict. They have so many data through the satellites and everything, the speed of wind, everything they have, humidity, every data they have, current data. They feed in the model, what they predict. See, after 1 month, there would be a storm on the south coastal area, or it happens. Or it also gives the time at which time it will call it at the coastal area, it will come at the coastal area, touch the coastal area this way. They give the time. Maybe little bit difference, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, according to the, because they have given 24 hours before prediction, and then the direction of the wind speed and the whatever the other variables may be affected by, because there are so many extraneous elements, the variables also affect. So whatever the variables they have included, there may be some variables remain unused in the model. So those extraneous elements can affect something. So it may be little bit, the location may be differ from few kilometers, and maybe the time may be differ, but it would be more accurate than forecasting. Yeah, now it is on the available data. We say it is the weather forecasting. Now it is the weather prediction. Mr. Ganesh, now it is called the weather prediction, because they are using some current input. Before 5 years, it was told that weather forecasting. Now it is weather prediction. So this is the difference. So now I think that you all aware about what is the prediction, what is the forecasting. Yeah. Okay. Let's we talk about the perspective analysis. So we see the perspective analysis. You see, in the crop production, rain is not the only variable which affect the crop production. There is soil quality also. There is sunlight also affects the crop production. Pesticides is also there. Fertilizers are also there. Irrigation is also there. So there are some other variables which also affect the crop production. So there are many variables. So the variables which affect the crop production here is a dependent variable. Crop production depends on independent variables. So the independent variables are what? Independent variables, the main independent variable is the rain, then sunlight, so which are not in our control. Rain is not in our control, sunlight not in our control, but some other variables which are in our control. Okay, according to soil quality, we could suggest the fertilizers, what is to be used for that particular soil. Seed quality is also there. We could choose the seed as per the soil quality and whatever the fertilizers we are going to be used, and we could see the pesticides, whatever the diseases occurred on the your crop, in the future, and there is irrigation, the frequency of water giving to the your field and in your field, sorry, and these are all the independent variables. So there are so many variables we impact on some particular dependent variable. Dependent variable is always unique. Okay, it will be only one. Independent variables may be one and the more than one also. And the thing what I want to say you that suppose our we have feed these all elements in our trend model, and it give us a prediction that this year X metric ton of crop production would be of say some particular commodity. Okay, this is our prediction, but it is the supply, it would be the supply side, and there is a demand. Government has calculated the demand, which is the Y metric tons for that year. It is used for the domestic use, and also government has to export it for making some foreign currency. So there is a gap between X and Y. There is a gap between X and Y. Y is too much greater than X. There is some gap between them. And we have to minimize this gap. Now what we will do? Then the perspective analysis comes in existence, which is the artificial intelligence, which is called artificial intelligence. Okay. What is the work of AI here? First, I explain you the difference between ML and AI. ML is basically an infant. I will explain this. Don't worry. ML is an infant, a small child, and AI is an adult, intellectual person now. Okay. You see, as we have learned everything in our life, the same process we apply on the machine when we train the machine. That is called the training. The machine is called the machine learning, and that process is called the machine learning. You know that we have some algorithm by which we have got these all knowledge. Now, there is the supervised learning, there is unsupervised learning, there is a semi-supervised learning, there is a reinforcement learning. So similar way, we have also learned so many things in our life, and still we are learning in the same ways. We are using the same algorithm. Suppose the supervised algorithm is what? When the child is small, so his parents explain him, this is your uncle, this is your grandfather, this is apple, this is lion, shows the book, the picture of lion, and whatever. This is the supervised learning. Second thing, if there is a hot utensils of milk kept on a floor and a small child came on the knee and he touched that utensil, hot utensil, next time he will touch or not? The next day, if there is a utensil of milk which is not hot, but he will touch or not? He will not touch. So that is the unsupervised learning. He's learning itself. Oh, it is hot. Okay, so that is unsupervised learning. There is a reinforcement learning also. If you give a pen to a child in his hand, so mostly what does child do? He take that pen in his mouth. So we request him, and sometimes we warn him, don't take it mouth. Sometimes we request him, no, please don't take it in mouth, it will harm you. Sometimes we give one slap also. So that is a reinforcement learning. He's doing some mistake and we are rectifying this mistake by warning or by request or by different way. So the similar thing, the similar algorithm we use in machine learning also. So it is a child, ML is a child and AI is an adult. Suppose if someone's children got the age of 18, now he's in college or in the 12th standard. Now he suggests his father, please, Papa, you don't purchase this mobile. It doesn't have the good feature. You purchase this one. Now he's suggesting. When he was in the 4th or 5th standard, you suggest him, don't purchase this sleeper. It will harm you. You purchase this one. This one is more comfortable. It will not sleep. At that time, you are suggesting him. Now he is giving you advice. Now because he is intellectual now. He is adult now. So same thing is with that artificial intelligence. Machine learning, when we give the data to the model and the model get more and more efficient and the performance is better and better. And the food of these all things, machine learning, artificial intelligence is what? It is data. Data from various sources you are providing it. And after getting the AI, it is somewhere it is also machine learning inside the AI. Because whenever you get the data, it will get the data. And after some time, you have to again retrain that model. After 6 months, it depends how much data is creating every day. So it may be after 1 month, you have to retrain the model. In 10 days, you have to retrain the model. Or after 1 year, you may have to retrain the model. So again, as we are learning nowadays, still you are learning. You know, we have a school, we all have finished the school, still we are learning. So similarly, artificial intelligence doesn't mean that it is now perfect. Still there is possibility of learning, or always there will be. like human being. So what does it do? It minimizes the gap of y and x. Y is the demand and x is the supply. But there is a very big difference between demand and supply. So it will suggest us you for this quality of soil, you use this quality of seed. So it will suggest for improving the production. It suggests the fertilizers also, their quantity. It suggests pesticides as per the disease. So this model will suggest it is a reverse process, backward model. AI is machine learning on the this direction, AI on the back direction, reverse direction. So just like a human being. So now it will suggest the things. And you have to use, yeah, it is a regression model, maybe. It is a regression model, like the crop production and this. Pretty correct. So this is the artificial intelligence. What should be? What should be? What should be? It means what should be the fertilizer? What should be the thing? And these all thing. It is the perspective analysis. AI is fully trained, developed, and we could say the trend model. But it first, before it was the machine learning, and that it converts in the AI. We could not prepare AI model. We prepare the machine learning model. Then it converts in an AI. You understand? We could birth a child. We could not birth an adult. Okay. Understand? So same thing. Deep learning is a little bit, it is a part of ML basically. And there we use a neural network. And because of neural network, it is called the deep learning. Okay. For the neural networking, you require some GPU setup is there, graphical user interface. Some tensor is also required. So that thing is very required, or we could not conduct this on our small machine. Google and some other, Amazon is providing us some facilities for GPU and this all. Google is providing in such a right way. But when we train a particular model, it provides us 23,000 this much worth GPU and access of this all from their cloud. But it finishes when you only perform one model. When you train the one model, it will finish within 1 or 2 or 3 days, and then you have to purchase, or it's very costly. Yeah. Or otherwise, you should have their sort of systems, heavy systems. And there is also in the tensor we have require some kits, and these are facilities we could get through the cloud, through the AWS making us full. They are not providing anything. They are telling that we will providing this and this facility free of cost. No, nothing they are providing. General they are providing. So it's a very deep thing. And the deep learning, requirement of data size is very important. You should have a big data for deep learning process. It's the same thing. It is based on our neuron structures, like based. It is nodes, and these all are there. Layers are there, hidden layers, and these all. So many things involved. How many layers hidden layers you have to keep, then everything. So it is a different. It will be later on this predictive analysis. The deep learning is a separate part of that. So there are so many neural network models, not only 1 or 2 or 3. There are more than 15, 16, maybe 20 neural network model. So that is the deep learning, and deep learning require the more data. Okay. So we'll discuss the deep learning later on about, but I have explained you a little bit about it. So just a moment. Just this I have shown you supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised reinforcement learning. I already explained you, but we will not go in deep. Uh, I will tell you a little bit about the languages what we use in the data science or the data analytics. We use the mostly the open source language. We have the Python and R. Okay, and the by CC and Java also we could conduct this machine learning, but that is very lengthy process. Okay, so the basic language is the Python and R. R is better for data analytics part, and the Python is better for machine learning part. Not just deep learning. These all things you could do with the Python better. R is the simplest programming language of the world, easiest. Python later comes on the second side, because Python we have to study about the OOPS also, the object oriented programming concepts, or it take little bit more time than R. R you could understand within 6 days. You could understand so many things in the R, and you may have good confidence with R in 6 days. But Python, you need 1 month minimum, or minimum 1 month. Yeah, it is good. R is good for your management and behavioral study, because there is various sort of analysis we could perform with R. You know? Market basket analysis and supply chain analysis. So many sort of analysis we could conduct with this. Okay, revenue grid analysis we could also perform with this. Sakri. So it is very, very useful for MET. There is also, it is used in the business analytics course everywhere. Suruchi, you want to go in the data science field or the data analytics? First, you data science or data analytics? Yes, Suruchi. Data analyst. Then R is better than Python. After learning this R, working with R for a few months, then you learn Python. It would be better. Data science, if you want to learn the data science, then Python is better. Yeah, data, if you perform the data analysis in Python, you won't get the result as you get in the R. In R, you get the so many statistics when you command the whatever the syntax, and you get the so many statistics along with the result. But in Python, you have to write in each and everything, because Python is the general purpose language. Okay, and the R is language developed by mathematician and the statistician only. So it is very easy. Okay. Okay, so that is the thing. So I have explained you why the R, and I will share this slide to you. You could read in detail also the productivity, performance, why R, the pros of R, and the pros and cons of R, and the verdict also in the Python also I have given this all. So we come to that point. I will tell you something more about it. There are two things when we work with the R. There is R programming and R studio. Okay. R programming just like a kitchen of a restaurant, and R studio is the sitting area of the restaurant. So this I am showing you the graphical user interface, which is a kitchen here. Okay, it is the R part of the R programming. If you have just downloaded the R programming only, then you will get only this. Okay, and in this you write the thing and you get the response here on the same window, on the same. Okay, So you see, it is not interactive, है? You are not knowing which variable is active, which variable is your global environment or not. Okay, so that is the thing. But if we use the IDE, it is the graphical user interface. It always comes with the programming language. It is the part of programming language. But this IDE is not basically the part of that. It has been developed later for working in a simple way. You could perform the things on that programming language. So behind this R Studio, R programming is working there. Okay, it is integrated automatically. It will integrate with the R programming. When first you have to download the R programming, then you have to download the R Studio and install it. And first to install R programming, then install R Studio. So it will automatically integrate with R programming. And here you see there are 4 windows we have. First window is called the script window. And you can store a document of a commands you used in the R to reference later or repeat analysis. It saves in real time. Whatever you write and your system turn off, instantly your system turn off. The next time whenever you open, you will get the thing whatever you have typed there. Your script will not lost anywhere if you have not saved it. In spite of that, your script will be where you have used it, it will be there. So it is a real-time saving, not a word like that you are written some para, then it will save, and after some time it will, there is no that thing. On the real time it will save. Now, all the scripts in R, also in the Python, there is some whatever the IDE we use. Preeti, you should prefer R. First you learn R, because you are the students of statistics. So R would be very handy to you. Correct? One thing I want to say, beside this, we should not be tool centric always. Okay, tool centric means we should not assume that we have learned R, we should not learn some other thing. First you perform, first you learn R, because you are not the student of technical background. You are the students of statistics or the management or whatever, this sort of things. Then you first learn the R, and after completing work with R in few months, 4 months, 6 months, then you start learning with Python. You could better understand it at that time. Okay, so there is some visualization tools also. We also visualization, very good visualizations are also in Python. Good visualizations are there, pretty visualizations are there. But we have some other tools like Power BI and Tableau is there, for drag and drop. Menu is there. Which latest one, if you search there, I will show you how to download it. I will show you how to download it. Just a moment. I'll show you. Okay. So this is the script window. Then there is a console window. Whatever you write and run, you will get the response here. Result you will get in this window. So console you could not save. The result you could not save. And you could copy paste it, or you could use the markdown file and there you could save it. Okay, but here in the console you could not save. So script you could save whatever, even next day you also run the script. And there is a workplace where the global environment, whatever you have assigned the value will be explained here. So here, and there you will get the plot and help everything. So there are 4 windows in a one big window. Okay, so it is better. It is very interactive. So it is the integrated development environment. R Studio is for R. If you just download the RStudio, it will not work. Okay. First, you have to download the R programming. Then you have to download the RStudio. Okay. Just a moment. These are the visualizations of R. You see how pretty visualizations are. These colors, you see the pretty color. The default color are these. This is not color palettes I have chosen. It is the default colors we are watching here. It is the very pretty colors you see. Or I will show you some graphs like the more things about. As the deep learning somebody asked me about, so there is some little bit explanation about traditional ML model will give us the low performance, but if you have a big data, it will also give us the low performance. If the data increases, this deep learning model will give us the better performance. So this is the main thing here. The main difference is that. Yeah, R is also better. The Power BI, there is no need to write any sort of command. Drag and drag method is there. You have to choose and okay. So that is a simple Power BI and the Tableau for data visualization only. Nowadays, Tableau is better than that Power BI. And Tableau is in the pioneer in the data visualization. I will show you some more things. What we do in the application of deep learning, the image recognition we do with the deep learning, and natural language processing like chatbot, what we met, chatbot. So that is a natural NLP is there. Portfolio management prediction of stock price movement. If you have to, so it is better because there is a very big data in the stock market. The drug discovery and the better diagnosis of the disease in healthcare. We use the deep learning, the search recognition also, robots and self-driving cars all have used this deep learning. This is the neural network we use. Okay, I am just showing you the input hidden layer and the output you will get in this way. And the neural networks are a set of algorithm modeled loosely after the human brain, and data are designed to recognize pattern. Okay, it's based on the pattern. Machine learning is totally based on the pattern. They interpret sensory data through a kind of machine perception, labeling, clustering, raw input. Only the linear regression, logistic regression, they works on some formulae. Okay, but the other, if you see the decision tree, if you talk about there is some little bit formula entropy and this all, but there is still pattern. But the deep learning, if we talk about, it is based on the pattern. It understand the patterns. There are, you see, the so many neural networks are there. The perception model is there, feed forward is there, radial basis network is there, deep feed. The most uh, recognized model are the recurrent RNN is there. RNN, you see, we have seen in our email, Google email. If you write some word, it also suggests the words, 4 or 5 words. It may be like this. So it is the RNN, recurring neural network. Or there is LST is also involved in that, LSTM, long short term memory. Okay, so that is the model they are using in the email, in the Gmail. And there is one CNN also is very famous. CNN is the convolutional neural network. So I will show you here, it is something. So that is also very famous model. We use most of the time the image classification, we use that. So CNN, deep convolutional network. Okay, and there is C. Okay, convolutional network and convolutional network. This is the deep convolutional network. Okay, so there is the model. Different models are there. So it is not given here. So this all about our, and what is predictive analysis? I have explained here in the one graph. It is our data we have collected. Now we are cleaning the data. So these were the gangs in our data which we have removed, and we have got this data. Now we have prepared one model. It understands the patterns, so it arranged the pattern in this way. Now here we have to predict the things. So then we make the prediction in this way. We have got this thing. Okay, this is the inside, this is the foresight, this is the hidden side. So this is all about the predictive analysis. Okay, there are so many other things, but I would not like to discuss each and every. Yeah, generally what we do in the process of this. Something is wrong with my danger. Oh, what is this? Okay. Something infected. I will see this. Now it's some more thing. I will explain you. This. How much time we have remained now? First we see that the 6:45 now. In the today's session we have studied about we understand what is that data analytics, what is statistics, what is data science. And tomorrow we discuss about the classifications of data, measure of central tendency, and measure of dispersion. We finish this all in 2 hours. And then we start day after tomorrow, we start R. And tomorrow I will show you how to install. Today I tell you how to install the R Studio. Okay. So I show you. We have 5-10 minutes more. So we could. So I am telling you about the R and R programming in R Studio. So you have to download R programming only on the search, Google search. Then you see here cran r-project.org. Okay, this side you have to use cran.r. Here you see download R 4.0.2. It is the latest version of R. It is 84 megabytes and 34 and 64 bit both. So you have to see the system configuration. If you have 32-bit system, then you use the 32-bit, otherwise 64-bit. You have to process this and download it and save whatever in the folder. And after download, you install it. And you double click wherever you have downloaded it, and you double click on it and see the instruction, read the instruction and follow it. So it will be installed. Once it's installed, then you install R Studio. So download R Studio, you type, and you will see there rstudio.com. Okay, click on it. Both are the open source. Okay. And here you could download it. Okay. So you go here and it is, you see there are 4 options are there. R Studio Desktop, R Studio Desktop, R Studio Server, R Studio Server Pro. So it is free and this one is free. So we are not downloading the server, we are downloading the desktop model in our system. So it is free, and we could click here or we could click below also. And you could, it is for Windows. If you have the Linux, you have the Linux version, you have to select. Okay. You could search on the net and the RStudio for Linux. Now, if you have the Mac, you could ask for the RStudio for Mac, so you will get it. Okay. So it is here you have to click for RStudio. Then it will be downloaded in your system. Then double click on it and follow the instruction when you run it, and it will be installed. Okay. So you see here there are two symbol of R. Okay, I cancel it. I have already. So one is this one. Second is this one. We have two symbol of R. So this is for RStudio. This is for R programming. Understand? Here for the participants who are who has paid for the certification fee, they will get all the links and the study stuff, whatever scripts and the PPT. This all. Sir. Okay, so they could watch it later. Yeah, first R programming, then RStudio.
सर ये YouTube के ऊपर एक डाउट था, जो लिंक मिला मैंने वो पाइथन का किया था. So after 1 year, if we watch, we will able to see that.
Python का?
हाँ, मतलब I have paid and I have taken the link, but my query is it is opening in YouTube, right, sir? It is not downloadable.
Okay, okay.
So my query is that am I able to view? Let's say after 1 year, I want to see because I forgot something and I want to listen what you have taught.
Yeah, yeah, you will get there. You will get there.
Okay, okay, okay.
You will get there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You can also download through the YouTube. If you see how to download the video from YouTube, you will get some sites there.
Acha,
so, in that side, you could that I will show you one of the base site which I use.
Please, sir. हाँ, आप करो ना तो you know we can watch offline then. Every time we don't have to consume even internet.
I will show you one site. This one, savefrom.net. savefrom.net.
Acha.
This site you use, and here you have to just the URL from the video. First you open that video and YouTube, then copy paste this URL here and download, click the download.
Okay.
So it will be download within
What is that URL, sir? This is
en.savefrom.net.
Savefrom.net. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the best one.
Okay.
I have been using for more than 5, 6, 7 years for downloading some YouTube videos. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So then Mr. Mukesh, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now,
are you done for today?
Yeah. It has been completed because tomorrow I will start the data classification theoretical part. Okay. Today I will just explain about the data analytics, data science, and these all things, interaction with the participants.
Done. So tomorrow we will meet 5 o'clock, same time. All of you, please be here 5 o'clock. And those who are joining for advanced course, join around 7:10 because 7:15 the session will start. I hope you, those who have already registered for advanced course may have got the registration link. If not, please contact us on email or on WhatsApp. So I will share tomorrow the WhatsApp link of this group, WhatsApp group of this workshop, so that all of you can join that WhatsApp group of this workshop. And study material, I think Praveen sir must have explained you that it will be shared to all the paid participants to their email. It will be a link, Google Drive link, where it will be day wise get updated, all the study material and video link. It will be day 1, day 2, day 3 wise. It will be get updated. Please do not share with anybody. It's only for you. It's not for a group or for. Do not post it on any social media or anywhere. This is only specially for you. So most probably by let's say that tonight 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you will be have that link. If we get delay in the getting the video from Zoom, so then tomorrow we'll do that, the video update. Rest study material will be get updated. Only video link will be updated tomorrow. Then. If we have because sometimes Zoom give less that late option to download the recording video. If their server is little bit delayed, so expect that tomorrow. Anyone has any other concern about payments and all, like you are facing problem in payments? Because many times it happens that link doesn't work, especially for international participants. So let me know, I can help you. Our email ID is cypheranalytica@gmail.com or info@cypheranalytica.com. So you can mail us and you can let us know. You have all the details. I hope, and we are here to support you. And let's meet tomorrow again with the same energy and to learn again something good. You should not miss the tomorrow session because it's going to be very important. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
So those who like the session, please thumbs up or clap for sir. For Praveen sir, you have option on your screen, thumbs up or clap. So you just press the button thumbs up or click. Oh wow, you are getting so many thumbs up and clicks, claps. Sir. So they really loved it. So tomorrow again, don't miss it. Tomorrow is going to be a very important session. Happy data science. Subhan.
Thanks, everyone. Just a moment.